Hey guys, I was gone for a bit, but we're back with another album review, obviously. If you've been following along, you know that we're going over Dear Youth today by The Ghost Inside, picked by fan Justin Jonda. So let's just see what these guys have to offer. For those of you unaware, The Ghost Inside was, / possibly still is, a melodic hardcore band. They also classify themselves as metalcore. Great tunes, great guys. I even had the pleasure of meeting Jonathan Vigil, the vocalist, a couple years back. They were involved in an almost fatal bus crash. Well, actually it was fatal for their bus driver. About 2 years ago, back in 2015. It's been almost 2 years now and they're unfortunately not to the place where they can start making music again, which is kind of a bummer, but last I heard they're all still making a lot of progress as far as recovery goes. Dear Youth is the band's 4th studio album and it's the follow-up to Get What You Give, which was also a really solid album. So let's see what they did to top that. The album features 11 tracks and it runs about 42 minutes long. Opening up this thing, we get a song called Avalanche, and it really starts up with a slower build-up, which is sort of not really typical of a Ghost Inside song. They're really known for that fast-paced hardcore drumming, but the slower build-up combined with Jonathan Vigil's screaming behind it really still helps portray that heavy vibe to us. I think Vigil has some of the most distinguishable lyrics, and they're some of the best in the industry, and I think that's no different with this album. I love the gang singing towards the end of the song, and they give us a major breakdown at the end too, so it's definitely gonna get your juices flowing right out of the gate. The lyrics in this one are about building yourself back up again after someone's kind of been just beating you down, tearing you down. Just 2 songs in, and by this time in the album, I get a lot of ADTR vibes throughout this album. Like the intro to Move Me and the ending to Avalanche, and it's really no surprise because this album was produced by frontman Jeremy McKinnon, frontman of A Day to Remember, and producer Andrew Wade, who's known for working a lot with A Day to Remember albums. Now, this duo produced their previous album, also Get What You Give, but I think that there are a lot more similarities, or a lot more of that A Day to Remember vibe in this album. And ADTR being one of my favorite bands, that's nothing for me to complain about at all. So song number 2 is about rising up against your enemies, defying the odds, and I think that the high energy of the song really helps paint this picture, in my mind at least, of a man really trying to get somewhere in life and working hard. Out of control. Ugh, so good. From that opening guitar riff to the last set of choruses, the song is just relentless. I love a lot of the lyrics in the song, namely the lyric that says, "Speaking from above, cast a shadow on the ones searching for the sun." The lyrics, "Walk in my shoes before you trample my feet." And then the super impactful lyrics right before the breakdown saying, "'Cause in a world so shaky and unstable, we've got to be less fucking hateful." So obviously the song is about stop talking down to people, stop acting like you're better and judging people, and we can all live in a better place. And one final note about this song is that the melodies in the chorus are some of the best on the album. Track number 4 is With the Wolves. Well, not literally, it's not With the Wolves, it's just the name of it, guys. One of the highlights of this song is definitely the breakdown, which has what could be considered lyrics that are on the happier side compared to most breakdowns. The lyrics are, "When you're in the dark and out of doubt, find me." And then the breakdown comes in full blast with that classic melodic lean line supporting it. The band puts to use some more gang chanting in the song, which the Ghost Inside usually does pretty well. Of course, we get some more great lyrics in this one, and the message is really about giving your all into something and not really seeing much in return, and trying to find the line where eventually you just kind of say fuck it and move on. Merci definitely throws out the most metal vibes for me on this album, including what I thought at first was like an allusion to Metallica when Jonathan Vigil belts out "For Whom the Bell Tolls" to get this one rolling. I'll explain a little bit more on that in a bit. However, the part of the song that it's probably most known for is the iconic breakdown with the lyrics, "Life's swinging hard, but I'm swinging harder." I'm swinging hard, but I'm swinging harder! Just so epic, and I think a lot of people can really identify that lyric and know that it's the ghost inside, and it gets everyone moving and moshing wherever they're at. So as I was saying with the For Whom the Bell Tolls, they're actually referencing the 1940 novel of the same name by Ernest Hemingway, and this is made more clear with some of the lyrics later on in the song, where Jonathan Vigil is, I think he's more so paraphrasing a line from the book, but nonetheless it's from that book. So I take back what I said about it possibly being a Metallica reference. It is definitely an Ernest Hemingway reference, it seems like, so just always do your research, kids. Phoenix Flame marks the halfway point of the album, and we get a little bit of a switch in tone and feeling with this song. It's slower, it's definitely slower, and there aren't a whole lot of lyrics in it, but so far it's definitely gotten the most emotion out of me. The song starts off with some clean singing, some soft singing, with the lyrics being breathe in, breathe out, but by the end of the song, we're back into that typical ghost inside chaos. And the way I read this song, and this is totally a personal interpretation, is that at the beginning, maybe the subject of the song is trying to deal with some anxiety, trying to calm themselves down with the breathe in, breathe out technique, and holding back these feelings. And then eventually they just crack, and all of that just comes rushing out in the music, and that leads to that chaos. My favorite part of the song is definitely when the lyrics, "I can't do this alone, can you help me," are sang. And then the full band comes in with this super epic section with the very prominent lead guitar line, kind of driving that train and just showering us with all the feels. Really great song here, definitely a contender for my favorite. Dear Youth, Day 52 is obviously the title track, and so I think it's fitting to kind of go into what Jonathan Vigil says about this album, what it means to him, and what it kind of represents to him. And the whole quote is kind of long, so I'll try and paraphrase it. Essentially, he's writing a letter to his younger self, kind of saying that he's lost his way. And he doesn't remember what it feels like to have these huge dreams and ambitions and feeling like he could do anything. And he even asks his former self, like, how does it feel to have the whole world in your hand? And in conclusion to that story or that letter, he says, like, remind me of that time, like, let me feel that again, I want to know what it feels like again. It's kind of sad and kind of tragic, I guess, and I would definitely say that the lyrics in the song help tie into that letter, and overall it's got a pretty angry feel to it, which I think is obviously pretty deserving. Wide-Eyed gives us some of that classic Ghost Inside feeling with the super fast-paced drumming, that hardcore feel, and we get a superb guest vocal spot from Jason Butler from Let Live. Now, this was pretty surprising to me, but it works out super well in the end. He starts off kind of just talking, which if you know Jason Butler, you can kind of picture or imagine the type of vocal style I'm talking about. And then he goes right into that classic Jason Butler singing style. He's got a really unique style, and I think it was a really great way to add some diverse, clean vocals to the album. Lyrically, the song talks about finding yourself and then staying true to yourself no matter what, and kind of holding your own in any situation. More straight up hardcore vibes coming out in my end note. I love the "We Won't Compete" gang chants before I think that's the chorus happening there. And it really gives a sense of unity and fighting together, and just kind of makes you want to give a hell yeah. The breakdown in the song isn't too innovative, but I think it's still worth giving a listen to. Loving the guitar riffs in the other half. Some really great rhythms here. I really like the chorus, a lot of great melodies underneath it to kind of carry us through. The lyrics in this chorus are some of my favorite, as Jonathan Vigil intelligently portrays the fact that the things he cares about most in life aren't tangible, and he doesn't really rely on a materialistic lifestyle, which kind of ties into the whole overall theme of the song, which is basically saying that we as society are misled and fed this bullshit about what should make us happy in life and what we should strive for. He's telling us to kind of navigate through all that and kind of stop being so brainwashed all the time. Nothing that drives my soul is even tangible. I just love that line. Blank Pages has an overall hopeful vibe, and I think something really cool that they do in this song is refer back to a couple of other tracks on the album. The most obvious ones are in Avalanche. They repeat the line, "I shook the hand of doubt so I could sever the lies that he spit from his mouth." And then from Phoenix Flame, they bring back the breathe in and breathe out lyrics. I think that the reference to these past tracks really helps tie in the album as a whole and really makes it this cohesive piece of work. This song has two parts where it kind of slows down a little bit, and I love the guitar tone during those sections and the way they build right back up into the heavier sections. Adding more tasty melodic guitar work behind these basic strummed chords, and I say basic and it's kind of simple, but it still has this way of feeling epic and really awesome. Unfortunately, guys, we are at the end of Dear Youth. Fuck, what a good album. Thanks, Justin, for picking it. I hadn't listened to it in a while, and I'm glad I got to revisit it. Solid album, and goddamn does it hold up today. Some really great lyrics on this album, a lot of great melodic elements. The vocalist, Jonathan Vigil, kind of takes the spotlight for me for most of it. The production is great, and there are some iconic sections on this album. I'd have to say about my favorite song is probably Out of Control, with a close second being Phoenix Flame. I don't really have a least favorite, but the song I was least impressed with would probably be With the Wolves. Alright guys, thanks for watching the album review. Like I said at the beginning, I took a mini break, but there's just so much on my plate. I'm trying to get a lot more of my creativity out in the world, namely with photography. If you want to see some of my photography, you can go follow me on Instagram. I tweet every once in a while, so you can follow me on Twitter. I've been gaming on Destiny 2 a lot. I'm not going to get too much into it, but you can add me on PlayStation Network. Everything is at CamNez1. And yeah, I appreciate you guys for sticking around and watching today, and I'll see you guys in the next album review. Thanks guys. Rock on.